Huh?
I had to. They were sweat. There was a fight that broke out where I was watching it. I mean, it was everything that you would not expect if you're not at the stadium to happen where I was at. I mean, it was off the hook. People were that upset about the way the Browns were playing. So yeah, it was crazy yesterday.
A fight?
Oh yeah, old people too. Oh, they probably grandparents' age.
Like, you remember My Girl when they was at the bingo hall? And he was like, you don't got bingo when they was about to fight. You remember that? That's my favorite scene from My Girl. Is when the two old people was about to fight at bingo.
But that's how we're deep into the season, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we have not felt this way in a very long time. And I just think, listen, I'm in that generation now. I'm wondering if I will ever see a Brown Super Bowl championship, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
personal. It's personal. So yeah, it was off the hook yesterday.
Willie, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Off the heezy for sheezy, my kneesy.
Yeah, your team won pretty big on Thursday. Got a coach fired.
And the GM.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
GM too.
Quote me
Yeah, that's
correctly.
right.
At first, they were talking about the whole coaching staff got fired, and I was like, "What?"
Wow.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. But how about these Browns, man?
Man, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Everything going on with the Cleveland Browns is kind of crazy right now. I believe that they played 11 games in a row. They are 7-1 at home, and they were very lucky to escape with this victory yesterday because that Hail Mary was pretty much caught. And at the very end, he lost the ball. He kicked it up. It was in his hands. So we are so lucky. Usually Hail Marys don't work, but Justin Fields was pretty much on target with his receiver. And that was like a Harry Houdini thing that we were able to escape that game because that was a L right there. But if not for it hitting his hands and then hitting his body and then, going up in the air in order for it to be intercepted, we wouldn't have won that game. So the Browns continue to find ways to gut out victories, gut out wins. I feel like yesterday's game was more of a little bit of a defensive battle more than anything. Yeah, some points were put on the board, but I felt like, it pretty much was all defense because Joe Flacco started out really terrible in the very beginning. And then, he got better in the fourth quarter when they needed him to be better. But literally, two of his turnovers cost us 14 points.
Yeah, no, I
Flacco.
totally agree with I totally agree with you. I mean, for me, when I think about the Hail Mary, and truly because Justin is a Buckeye, my heart goes out for him. I mean, he has nothing around him, but he is very, very talented. To your point, when he throws the ball, he's accurate. When I saw it, it was just like they said. It was all in slow motion. Like everybody was up and just quiet and leaned into all of the big screens. And I saw he caught it, but I thought when his body hit the ground, that kind of helped, us because he kind of fumbled the ball, but he did try to kick it and keep it up, thinking maybe either he or a teammate may have a shot. It seemed like that 1 or 2 seconds lasted an entire week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but for me, I thought the offense just stunk it up. I mean, yeah, I know we are banged up. Don't get me wrong, but how many passes did Flacco throw? And again, and I don't want to take away from Victory Monday, what Kevin Stefanski is showing us is he's just going to throw the ball. And we know, Willie, when we play better caliber teams, if we make it to the playoffs, especially, we know he's probably going to have more like 6 interceptions in a game. So those are some initial thoughts I had.
I thought you was going to say Kevin Stefanski sucks, but you didn't.
I'm not. I just want to thank. If I wasn't clear, I just want to thank Jesus for that victory. Oh my God, y'all! I had, and I love my men. Don't get me wrong. I had complete strangers of different ethnicities pick me up off the ground and hug me and kiss my cheek. It was like, what about COVID? I mean, people just lost their minds at that whole game and the outcome. We were in disbelief. Okay. It was crazy yesterday.
So you were there?
No. I was watching it one of my hole in the wall sports pubs that I kind of fell in love with, to be honest with you.
Hole in the wall. Yeah, one way in, one way out. I love it.
Yes. That's why
Those
everybody was standing on the tables when the fight broke out. We didn't know what to do.
that kind of reminds me of the pool halls I used to visit.
Right?
One way in, one way out.
People be beating each other with the billiard stick and stuff.
Billiard? What's that? You mean pool stick?
Yeah, same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
Don't you use billiards to play pool?
You play with pool sticks. Nobody
Okay,
calls
what's
it
billiards?
billiards is I don't know, but nobody calls it a billiard stick. Where are you from?
Keep talking.
Where?
I said keep talking. I'm about to Google this.
No, I asked you where you were from.
I'm from Shaker Heights, Ohio.
Is that the suburbs?
We call it billiards too. And I'm more East Coast, Willie.
Okay, so I got what's the difference between pool and billiards. Billiards is played on a table without pockets. The game only has 3 balls, which are red, white with a spot, and another white without a spot. Pool involves a table with 6 pockets. You need 15 balls, but some people play with just 9. Okay, there you go.
Thank you for that education. I didn't know.
Pool.
Okay. Yeah. So I got the wrong game.
Yeah.
Billiards. I'll admit that.
Billiards is like playing marbles with giant balls.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, my bad. I got that wrong. But now we all know. Now the audience all knows what the difference between bill and billiards are. Pool, excuse me.
You said that wrong. You said that like you are under the influence.
So, Willie, did you get a chance to get the highlights of the game?
I actually watched a good deal of the game.
Oh, y'all had it where you was at?
I have every game.
Okay.
Every Sunday, I have every game.
Okay.
But y'all, look, Chicago, they just didn't come over and roll over like they did the last time they were there.
Yep.
When they sacked Justin Fields 9 times.
He was a rookie.
Yeah, but still, this team ain't that much. Well, I shouldn't say they ain't that much better. They're not like light years better than that other team. But Justin Fields had a terrible day throwing the ball. I mean, and I know there were some drops involved, and DJ Moore had a big drop there during the game. I got to give a shout out to y'all's boy, man, number 2. I'm not gonna call him by his name, but I'm just gonna say number 2. I'm not gonna say his name. Number 2, or as Bill Parcells used to refer to Terrell Owens as, the player. Number 2, he came in clutch right when you needed him. I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Y'all hear my dog barking?
We do.
Okay. Oh, I thought that was your stomach growling.
Sapphire got jokes. So Justin was off, man, and Joe Flacco wound up throwing for almost 400 yards.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that if Stefanski goes 60, hold on a second. You know what? I can't do nothing about her right now. Somebody must. Oh, I know what it is. Somebody's picking up the poop in the backyard. So I don't think that Stefanski is going to go away from the 60-40 run pass or pass run ratio, because it's working. It's working. I mean, y'all beat Jacksonville last week, and Jacksonville are beginning to show us who we thought they were not, with that loss to Baltimore last night, which had to bruise y'all up a little bit, because it was an opportunity for Cleveland to at least inch one step closer to the top of the AFC North. But, look, with all of the injuries that you guys have had, Stefanski might be mentioned as part of being coach of the year, no matter how y'all feel about his play calling.
See, I was trying to leave it alone, Willie. Come on, don't do that.
Yeah, but also on the offensive line, you've only had two players left from the starting offensive line that started the first game, which is very crazy. I don't know the ratio of the defensive players, but you got second and third teamers getting out there, getting at it, being a crucial part of this team and being a crucial part of these wins. And you don't see that too often. So, hats off. They say that their motto is the next man up because literally it has had to be because all the injuries. So, when they say next man up, that's literally the mentality that this team takes. And then the guys that come up aren't too bad because they're still winning. So, how crazy is that?
Okay, so Victory Monday. I'm just going to say this. I will give Bill Callahan those props all day long because that's the O-line coach.
Give him his flowers.
Absolutely. All day long. That's the O-line coach. I will also repeat, if the Browns D is even average this season, we would not have the record we have. If there is a coach of the year people should be talking about, it should be Mr. Schwartz. His unit is single-handedly.
He can't be coach of the year. He can be assistant coach of the year.
Nah, not the way he has our defense tuned up.
But they don't have a category for that.
We're making one. Point. We're creating one.
And that's a great point.
Oh, okay.
Because listen, to me, Kevin Stefanski is along for the ride. And again, he's a Philly guy. I'm a Philly girl. I truly want him to be successful. But what I am seeing consistently on the gridiron this season is our defense. When our defense dictates their will, that's the way the game goes. And the offense is riding the waves. Okay, that's just my opinion about it.
So I have a question. Is it safe to say this about the Browns?
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
This is a family-friendly show, Willie.
What happened? Oh, I mean, he said it on ESPN.
That's not WOVU.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Chris.
Anyway, yeah, I think that you can kind of give this team their flowers. One of the person that deserves some flowers is Dustin Hopkins for sure. Corey Bojorquez. Willie, I saw that eye roll.
The love affair continues.
It really does because, these guys have kept us in games. Field position is one of the most important things in all of football, and he's pinning these teams back, making them have to go 80, 90 yards to actually move the ball and get in scoring position. So, you've had Dustin Hopkins, booting kicks through for us. He's made the most field goals in all of the NFL at this point.
Their legs are going to fall off, Willie, and so is Flacco's arm, okay? Then what are we going to do?
So you got to give these guys props, Willie. You got to.
I'm all on board with giving them their props. I'm just not on board with having a love affair with a kicker.
I don't have a love affair with him. I respect him.
Oh, yeah, you do. You have a love
affair. Having a love affair with his leg.
Mm-hmm. But you have to think about, Willie.
This is a family-friendly show, Sapphire.
I love that leg.
What I can stand y'all. What we have had, but for the longest time, we had special issues. We still don't have really much on the return game still at this point, but you have had your kicker and your punter be successful. And that's something that we really haven't had. You know what I'm saying? You think about Cade York, all it took was one season for him to be gone because, he wasn't able to execute on field goals, and he was drafted and he wasn't able to do that. I don't know. I think it was more mental than anything. He came out that first game and hit, what was it, a 58-yarder for us to be able to beat the Panthers and beat Baker Mayfield. So, but his performance steadily declined. And I feel sorry for him. I'm glad he's lashed on to another team, but this is something that we haven't had is good special teams. Like I said, the return game is something to be desired because Pro 6, what's his name back? Prochet, we really don't get a lot of return yards, but I put this out last week is because kickers' legs are stronger and they're booting them to the end zone. So, I think that's one of the issues. But, I don't know if it's, our kick return coverage because them gunners get down there very quick. But I don't know. But this is something that we haven't had a lot of success with. So we're having some success with it and we're actually winning games. So, I don't have a love affair or anything, but it's a healthy respect for them.
Yeah. What you said.
All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and take a break right quick. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we will be right back.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady.
All right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Want to get to the offense. What did you guys think about the offense? I wasn't able to, unfortunately, watch the ending of the game, but from what I saw, the offense struggled mightily. It was, Joe Flacco threw some interceptions, and as I mentioned before, they were able to get Chicago was able to get 14 points, which was easy. That was handed to them. They actually had to earn a field goal, but there wasn't much that they had to do to actually score the ball once Joe Flacco turned it over. So, he ended up coming alive in the fourth quarter, which I did miss, unfortunately. But that's what we needed him to. He threw for over 400 yards and, he got us in trouble. So, it was his job to bail us out, and last week we were ready to crown him and, anoint him. Well, I wasn't ready to do that, but a lot of people were willing to say, he's better than Deshaun Watson and all that other stuff. We don't need Deshaun Watson. We just need Joe Flacco. And Willie, I know the way you're looking at me. I never said that, but
No, no shade.
But this city was ready to crown him as King of Cleveland. And, he had a great performance last week, but he had a worse performance this week. We were able to win the game and, gut it out. But, they had to come back in the fourth quarter. So they never let the game, they played from behind the whole time. I was able to check the score where I was at. And I saw the 17-7. I was like, oh, my God, this is not good, because they just looked terrible. So I didn't think that they were going to be able to come back or do anything like that. What are you guys' thoughts about how that offense played yesterday?
Well, actually, I'm going to jump into this first and really defer to Willie to educate me. There's specific things. Yeah, there's specific things. Let's take, for example, what Amari said. It was the way Flacco threw the ball, right? And really, I couldn't hear the analysts too much yesterday, but what I think I notice is that Flacco, like many other quarterbacks, will release the ball before, and throw it to a specific spot before the receiver gets the ball. However, I think I'm seeing a difference even in the way he does that from other quarterbacks. That's the first question I have for Willie. Willie, educate me.
Well, a lot of that is timing. And you really got to give a lot of props to Flacco for being in sync with these receivers in such a short amount of time. Those passes, now, for Flacco and good for Flacco and even better for the receivers for the Browns, he still has like elite arm talent. And it takes elite arm talent to be able to do the things that he's been able to do. That one pass, I think it was to Amari Cooper on like an over route.
Yes.
I mean, it was sensational.
Yes.
And that's the Flacco that we saw in Baltimore winning Super Bowl MVPs.
Right.
And what you're talking about in terms of those throws, yeah, you got to have, number one, you got to have the arm talent. Number two, you got to have the timing. And then number three, you got to have the anticipation skills as a thrower to be able to understand, you know what, I got to make sure that this ball is there before he comes out of his break. Because if I throw it either when he's coming out of his break or after he's coming out of his break, it's going back the other way for 6.
Okay, so and based on that, let's go to the interceptions. How much of that, based on what you just shared with us, our audience, how much responsibility do you put on Flacco for his interceptions?
Well, I think one of those interceptions was definitely his fault. Now, the other two I didn't actually see, nor have I seen the highlights. But the one that I did see, yeah, that was definitely on him.
Okay. And in that moment, did you see him just over anticipate or just throw the ball to the wrong spot?
You know what? I just lied. The one that I did see, which was after they had gotten down deep in Chicago's territory, and the Njoku was on that seam route, and the cornerback from Chicago, he split the outside receiver and he split Njoku going down the middle of the field. I don't know if that was necessarily Joe's fault. That was just a great play by the Chicago DB.
Okay.
If there's anything that he could have done differently from what I remember, he might have could have put it out there in front of him a little bit. That way, either Njoku was going to catch it or nobody was going to catch it.
Got you. Those are the things that, like, I think about when I watch the game, because especially that, like, kind of fade out, that's what I call it, pass to Amari. I thought I saw him throw it overhead and sideways just so he could get the float on the ball, right? It's I don't know if it's because he's a taller quarterback, but I can see his passes better. I feel like I can see better what he's trying to do versus, for example, like a Baker Mayfield, who's shorter and he's just like throwing the ball down the field. Thank you for sharing that. My second point is I am exceptionally concerned that not only have we gotten away from the running game, but we have no running game. And we know we're going to need that. That's for me. I mean, I'm on the fumes from yesterday's game, but at one point, I think I looked down, we were averaging 1.6 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm. But here's the problem with that, though. And it's probably not that Stefanski doesn't want to run the ball. This is not the same offensive line that was out there week 1 and week 2. All those horses that is up front for for Cleveland that made them one of the top 4 or 5 offensive lines in the National Football League. It's not that anymore. Maybe they don't have the ability to sustain run blocking in the way that you guys probably want them to. And as a coach, yeah, while you really want to at least make an effort to run the ball, I think that that line just can't do it. And I think what's going to happen, what could ultimately happen, not what's going to happen, but what could ultimately happen is that you have a 36-year-old quarterback who's a statue back there.
38.
He's 38?
Yep.
38 years old.
In January.
38-year-old. So a 39-year-old quarterback who will be 30, well, he'll be 39 next month. He's 39, okay? He's closer to turning 39 and he's closer to turning 38. So you have a 39-year-old quarterback who is a statue, but can still throw it like he's still in his 20s. And you have an offensive line that can't open holes for the running backs. So you can't run any sort of read or RPO with Joe Flacco. You can't run any sort of zone read or anything like that with Flacco. It might it might behoove Kevin Stefanski and the
Bring
rest.
it. Bring it.
It might behoove Kevin Stefanski and the rest of the offensive coaches there to maybe implement some sort of packages with DTR.
Boom, baby. Boom.
But do you try to keep running the ball, or do you give up on the run altogether?
You can't do that. You cannot do that with the quarterback of who I just described. It ain't. Lamar Jackson is the fastest quarterback and the most elusive quarterback I've ever seen outside of maybe Michael Vick. But you're not gonna be able to do that if you don't have any running game whatsoever. So guess what they're gonna have to do? They're gonna have to come up with some gadget plays. You got some speed on the outside with what's his name? Is it Elijah, right? Elijah Moore. You got some speed there. I mean, you got a little speed with Amari Cooper. You know, you might have to implement some jet sweeps and some things of that nature in order to at least soften up the defense at some point. But you can't have Joe Flacco dropping back and throwing 40 times a game. It's just not gonna work.
Mm-hmm. Willie, were you on my text string yesterday?
I was the only one on it.
Okay. So I was calling for exactly what you said. I think as I'm glancing, 3:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. Like, is it that complicated? Like when a defense has already figured you out. Is it that complicated? And this hits on, my spidey senses about Stefanski and his play calling, right? Like, I mean, this is scary movie eye look right here. This is what me off that he can't just be normal and assess and be more agile during the game. Make your adjustments during the game. Like, I just can't get my head wrapped around his play calling. Like, we literally almost threw that game away again.
Well, I don't think the play calling is going to change. I think Kevin Stefanski is who he is. The issue is with the situational play calling, when he's on third down and stuff like that. And we talked a little bit about this week, when you're third down and 8 and you're running the ball, or, you're going to set up for a short 5-yard pass, knowing that you're not going to get the down. Like you said, Willie, you addressed that this week for a couple different reasons. But, one of the things I do want to give props to Joe Flacco, where there were 2 fake handoffs that he did that were so beautiful, it fooled the camera guy. I mean, it was amazing to see in action some of those fakes. And that's, that comes from, rookie, experience and stuff like that. And they went forward on 4th down. I think it was like 4th and 3 or something like that. And they went forward and they converted. So, Kevin Stefanski, he typically goes forward on 4th down, if it's 4th and close. So, I do like that aggressiveness from him, but that play calling isn't going to change. So it's something that we're going to have to live with. We're just going to have to be used to being frustrated about it, because it is what it is. And we know he's not giving it up. I want to say, what's up, Mickey? We appreciate you. He said, hi, sweet, beautiful Rachel. Hi, sweet, beautiful Sapphire. Hi, Willie.
That's what I wanted to say. Exactly. Hi. Oh yeah. Hi, Willie. It's like Baltimore Davis on Good Times when he would say the Evans are my favorite project family. Oh, and you too, Walona.
I mean, I agree with you, Rachel. And I think ... or until Stefanski gets Flacco killed, because he's going to continue to call the same types of plays for him. That's the thing. I think Willie is spot on. Packages. You won't create a quarterback controversy. I think most fans understand what we just saw yesterday is not going to get us to the promised land. We need to have alternatives.
Well, quarterback controversies are created by the media and by the fans, not by the team. The team don't give a rat's petunia about any of that. But here's my thing, Rachel, and I know we got to go to break, about what you said about the play fake. When you have only 29 yards rushing like the Browns did yesterday, he can do that all day long. When you're playing the Miamis and when you're playing the Kansas Cities,
That's not gonna work.
When you're playing the Kansas Cities and the Miamis and the Baltimores, he can do that all day long. They are not going to go for no play fake, knowing that you're only going to rush for about 15 yards that game. Not going to happen.
Did we really have 29 rushing yards yesterday?
Yes.
It's pathetic.
18 carries for 29 yards.
I
It's really
mean, we said we don't want him throwing the ball the whole game, but he might have to.
That's just not a winning formula, though, man.
It's not. I agree
know.
with you totally. And I hope they're listening to you, Willie, down in Berea, Ohio.
The closer we get to January, like the second week of January, the more that product of football will become less and less sustainable. Because now you're in the playoffs.
All right, I feel you. All right, people, party people, we're going to take a break right quick. You've been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. I am here with Sapphire, and I'm here with Willie Epteen Jr. So we're going to go ahead and move on to, one of the things that Willie did say is that maybe there might be some, not speculation, but chatter about possibly Kevin Stefanski winning Coach of the Year with the job that he has done. I say it depends on how they finish the regular season. As of right now, I kind of like Dan Campbell and what he's kind of did for Detroit. Not necessarily sure if Kevin Stefanski should win Coach of the Year. Definitely in 2020 when we went 11-5 and we went to the playoffs. I definitely can understand that. But he has been able to turn a molehill into a mountain with all the injuries that this team has sustained, and they're still winning. They might have a tough challenge when they go to Houston and face the Texans, but that challenge gets a little bit easier because CJ Stroud is still in the protocol. So not saying we want you to stay injured, CJ, but I wouldn't mind if you sat out another week just to make sure that your head was okay. So, Sapphire, what are your thoughts about that? Kevin Stefanski probably possibly, not probably, but possibly, and probably a high degree of possibility winning Coach of the Year. Is that, if he won, would that be deserved to you?
I mean, again, for me, no. I just see it very differently. And I know, as Willie has said, the system is not set up to nominate and elect defensive coaches as Coach of the Year. I see Stefanski right in the coattails of very experienced coaches in the NFL, more than deserving of that kind of accolade. Just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Jim Schwartz, Bill Callahan, and but this team has sustained so many injuries, and he is a part, along with his assistant coaches. We can't say we know what Alex Van Pelt does for sure, since he doesn't call the plays. So technically he just there collecting checks and stuff like that. I know he gives a suggestion of what the plays are, but he's not the one making the final determination.
Isn't that bizarre? Doesn't that feel bizarre? Just
I
what
just
you just said.
I'm just against coaches calling plays, calling offensive plays. Different strokes for different folks, but I felt like with Kevin Stefanski, especially a new head coach, shouldn't be calling plays. Leave that to your awesome offensive
Mhm.
coordinator and lead on them. I feel like there's so much that you need to know as a football coach. Your offense and your defense. How to manage the game, how to manage timeouts. Things of that nature. Just there's so much that you got to focus on during the game. Let somebody else do that. And
Yeah,
like I said, we're so frustrated with Kevin Stefanski's play calling, and we know that nothing is going to change.
yeah,
And
and
that is the thing. We're going to be mad every week about it,
Mhm.
but we might as well just get used to it.
No, you're absolutely right. Everything that you said. And for me, it's just so frustrating. It's almost disturbing. But there was a point in yesterday's game, and I haven't rewatched it yet again, but the defense was on the field and they were giving up some yardage. And the camera panned over to the Brown sideline, and you kind of saw Stefanski kind of grimace as if to say, non-verbally, what's that play all about? And I thought, see, that's that BS that I'm talking about right there. Clear the optics. And I will own that I'm probably reading too much into it, but you want to come across like there's a way you can maintain your body language without letting the cat out of the bag. Okay. We have to live and die by Kevin Stefanski's play calling. And again, our defense has single handedly kept our team competitive across the season. Like, I hate that I even saw that, right? But for me, it is the defense and the defensive coach that should be recognized if a coach on the Cleveland Browns is going to be awarded Coach of the Year, which I understand will not happen. But that, again, that's my 2 cents.
Yes, I agree with everything you said. It's just, what do you do?
Mm.
What can you say? I don't know. But, with the job that he's done, with the job that this team, because it's just not him, has done, these players have stepped up, as well, and they're playing for each other. Somebody said today, that team in 2020 was playing for their brands.
Right.
But this team is playing, for each other. They want to win. They have that, warrior mentality and they want to do it for their brothers and stuff like that. And I just wonder emotionally, how does it phase them when a player, multiple players go down week by week for week and they're lost for the season? It's like you're trying to accomplish a goal, and that first game with Jack Conklin going down. Okay, that was it sucked, but Dewan Jones has came, filled his space, and he probably did better than Jack Conklin. People talking about, he might be all pro this year. Like I said, one of the biggest games, and I wish I got a chance to speak with him about it. He was carrying a Chucky doll, so he was looking a little cray cray. But TJ Watt's name was called one time during that game, and usually TJ Watt's name is called all throughout games. So he handled him, put him in check, put him in control. He also handled Nick Bosa as well when they played the San Francisco 49ers. So he's done what he's done as right tackle, and it's kind of been amazing. So for him to go down, that was a huge, blow to the team. But like I said, it's multiple people. Grant Delpit just went down. It's just, you're losing these people not for just games, but during this for the whole season. And Frank, is glad that we got Denzel Ward back, so that's a good thing.
Did
We
we
needed
really?
him. Yeah, he played yesterday, but I mean, yeah, but he's still kind of limited and on a pitch count because of his injuries. So it's good that he was able to get out there. I don't know how effective he kind of was yesterday, but obviously, you want him to heal up as soon as possible. But having him back, I'm sure did something for the spirits of that team, did something for the spirits of the defense. Right now Myles Garrett is hurt, so he hasn't had a sack since he's been hurt. But I'm sure his presence out there is inspiring that defensive unit. And these guys have kind of like, I've never seen a movie Replacements with Keanu Reeves, but literally these are the replacements. I'm like, I don't know how many dudes they have called up off the street, you know what I'm saying, the past few weeks to come fill in. But those holes have been filled. And I wouldn't say, I mean, if you play in the NFL, you're one of the best athletes in the world. I wouldn't say that these, guys that they're calling up, but if you're second or third, string, you're still one of the best athletes in the world. So they've came in and replaced these guys, and they're still winning at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know what? I'm feeling you. And again, it takes me back to, hey, offensive line coach Bill Callahan. And I want to say this: the summer, early summer, it may have even been April, as a matter of fact. I was at a restaurant out in the suburbs, and Conklin walked in with his wife.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I was, sitting at the bar having my, Pinot Gris. And I looked over while everybody's running up to him, getting autographs. And I thought, he's taller, but he's petite. If you see him without the pads, you can tell he, works out, but he was petite. And in that moment, I thought, when was the last time he played a complete season? Right? So we saw he got injured this year, right? Again, the beginning
Jack
of the
Conklin,
season.
right? You said you saw out.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you would not, I mean, if you're up close to him, you could tell, okay, he works out. But when I think about a football player, and again, let me show my age. I'm talking about 80s, offensive linemen. Like, he just didn't look physically capable to match that profile that I have in my mind about an offensive lineman. So to your point that you were making, DeJuan stepped in, and I think he pretty much, as much as he could, played himself into football shape on a professional level this year. And I think his injury is due to what I've talked about before. What does the off-season conditioning look like for football players? And then compare and contrast that to what investment the Miles Garrett's of the world put into themselves across the offseason. And could that be a reason why Miles Garrett is still out there playing injured? His durability may be because he puts more work in year round versus leading up to the camp and in the camp. Like, I can't get this out of my mind. It did not surprise me that Conklin went down with an injury.
I'm not surprised at all. It's a part of the game. And these are they have car collisions on every play. I don't think I ever told y'all the story about one time I used to work when I first graduated from college. I used to work for this food services company that supplied food to grocery stores, and they kind of knew I was an athlete, so they was like, we have a football game every Thanksgiving. You should come play with us. So I'm like, okay, whatever, no problem. So I show up my cleats, my little lacrosse gloves, and stuff like that. So I'm stretching and all that other good stuff. And so, the game starts. And the first play, somebody knocked me out.
You mean like unconscious?
Almost close.
Rachel.
I woke up and I kind of didn't know what happened.
I want to see photos.
They did. I didn't have no photos. They did it on purpose, though, to teach me a lesson to not show up to a man's game.
No, I want to see photos of your athleticism, not just from that particular thing, but from any. I know they out there. Don't make me go find them.
Yeah, you'd have to find them because, video wasn't a popular thing all like that back then, and, pictures and stuff like that. So I don't even know where I would find those things. But yeah, they took me out the first play of the game. And like I said, I think that, that was to teach me a lesson that I don't step out here with the boys. So it was kind of funny, not so funny. I had to make sure I didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But, these players, it's a car collision on every, play. And you can hear how hard, they hit on TV. Those hyperbolic mics, pick up a lot and amplify the sound, but they're hitting each other hard. So, injuries are part of the game, but nobody thought that this team would have this many injuries, which is just crazy. So, I just look at it like, as that team, the next man up, because you guys are professionals. You guys are getting paid to do this. So you're the best athletes in the world. So go ahead and get out there,
Mickey
but nobody, huh?
Mickey out here shooting his shot.
Oh, yeah. Mickey said he wish you had Facebook, Sapphire. You are beautiful. You need to get Facebook or something.
I appreciate that. I really do. I think I've just aged out of all of that, but I appreciate you tuning in. And I wanted to go back to what you said. That what you described was best illustrated in that hit that KZ put on, I think it was Pittman Jr. in that Steelers Colts game. Like, it is a collision sport. And I think KZ was I think he's been suspended for the rest of the season behind that hit as well.
He's been suspended, but I don't think it's been for the rest of the year.
Okay.
But I mean, they've been eliminated.
No. Yeah. I get that part. For me, it was just when
I don't really see how, but they have been.
Who?
The Steelers.
The Steelers.
Oh, yeah. Do
Yeah,
you think
Rachel's
Mike
really upset
Tomlin?
about
Gosh, we gotta go to break right quick. Okay, I'll ask when we come back.
Okay.
All right, you're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Right before we went to break, I was going to pose a question to Willie and Sapphire and ask you guys: is Mike Tomlin going to be fired at the end of the season? And I say no. You know, he's had too much success. This would be his first losing season, depending on how they finished up. If they weren't able to make one of the wild cards, so this would be his first losing season out of 17 years. Do you guys think that he stands a possibility of losing his job? Sapphire, I'll take you first.
I mean, for everything you just said, I say no, but we're in a different, even political and social climate. So you can't rule it out.
Yeah. I think it was Ryan Clark that had said something about, and if you can believe this, that Tomlin does not appear to be reaching the guys in that locker room. Can you believe that? Number one. I don't think he'll get fired. And then I just looked, the Steelers have not been eliminated as of yet. But I don't think you can fire Tomlin. I mean, he's playing with a half of a quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky.
That's on them. They drafted him.
They didn't draft Trubisky. They signed him in free agency.
Talking about,
yeah. But no, they didn't. He's playing with half of a quarterback, and he's not the GM. He did the right thing by firing Matt Canada. Pickett is obviously injured. Is he still the guy? I mean, is he the guy? I think for the Steelers, they need to get back to what the Steelers were known for, which is smash mouth football, and stop trying to spread the ball all over the place and play solid defense. Now, I understand that the the rules are tailor-made for the offense, yeah, but they're not going to compete with the likes of the Ravens and the Dolphins, and with all the speed that they have, with the system that they run without the personnel to do it.
Okay. Makes perfect sense to me.
Well, what can I say?
And Willie, let me ask you both this. I mean, how much of the way that coaches are calling the plays, this may seem like a completely stupid question, but how much of do you think ratings factor into it?
What do you
Ooh,
mean ratings? I'm sorry.
she means the TV ratings, the numbers,
Oh,
TV
okay.
numbers.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify.
Ooh, you are opening Pandora's box with
Yeah.
that question.
Yep.
I don't know if I want to go there with only 8 minutes left to go in the show, but that may be something I need to have you guys on the podcast about. Y'all can let loose.
Oh, I would love
Okay.
to do that.
Okay, because we're going to move on to
Yeah.
some college football and basketball really quick.
Mhm.
So Kyle McCord, Ohio State's quarterback, is going to sign with Syracuse and go from a good team to a sucky team. So I don't know, why he chose that, but I guess he came to OSU with some wishes that he had, which was a guarantee that he was going to be the quarterback in 2024, and also he wanted more NIL money. And Ohio State, basically advised him that they weren't going to be able to do that, and that's when he decided to enter the transfer portal. So he is now with the Syracuse Orange. And it doesn't look like the Orange are that great considering where he just came from. But, that was the choice he made. So what are you guys' thoughts about him deciding to go to Syracuse, which isn't the best football school at all?
I got a question. I actually
Yes,
have a couple
sir.
questions. Where is he from? Is he from Ohio?
He's from
Joyzy.
Pennsylvania. Him and Marvin Harrison went to school together.
Where at?
He's
I forgot
St.
what
Joe,
private.
St. Joe's Prep. St. Joe's
Okay,
Prep
thank
in
you.
Philly, but he's a Joyzy man.
Oh,
Joyzy.
Okay. Okay, so that rules out that conspiracy theory. The second question was I forgot what the second question was.
Come on, old man.
Go ahead, Sapphire. I'll think of it in a second.
I mean, for me, clearly it was the right business move. He failed at the Ohio State University. Full stop. He failed. He was dogged. He was plagued with questions about his capabilities all season. Okay. He did not manage the game between his ears. That's just what it is. The move to Syracuse lowers the expectations, but yet gives him visibility. Because while the Orangemen are not national contenders, they are in a part of a country that people closely follow football, and so I just want to say to Kyle, I think if I could say it he did the best that he could, just wasn't good enough. Now I'm waiting, Rachel, for you to tell me Ryan Day followed his up there to Syracuse. That's all I got.
Oh
That
gosh.
Ryan Day what?
Followed his up to Syracuse. That's all I got.
That's not going to happen. I look at it as, him having a successful year, but, that inability to beat Michigan 3 straight losses in a row, that is something that, could define failure. And right now is define Ryan Day as a failure. So, I wish him the best,
Yep.
Going forward. Syracuse Orange finished at 6-6 last season, and maybe he can help turn that program around. I mean, he went 11-1 as a starter, threw for over 3,000 yards. So, I just wish him the best. Ohio State men's basketball got a huge win over UC.
Wait. One question. I thought of the question.
Yeah.
My second question about McCord is, what is his major? Is he majoring in journalism?
I don't know what he's majoring in. That's a great question.
If that's the case, then going to Syracuse will make all the sense in the world.
Yeah, they have one of the best journalism schools in the country. So. Yeah. But really quickly, because I want to get some NBA in as well. Ohio State had a huge win on the road against UCLA on Saturday, and Ohio State is now 9-2 in basketball, but they're not getting any love nationally and have been unable to crack the top 25. So hopefully, because they weren't picked to be very good this year, so hopefully they can continue to win and crack that top 25 and just get better and improve overall, because I'm not a Chris Holtman fan. So, the goal is to be able to make the tournament this year and be able to actually advance. So, something that's, kind of played them the past couple years with Chris Holtman. So I definitely want a different coach for Ohio State, but, hey, right now they're winning, so everything is working.
This
On
just
to the
in.
NBA.
Ohio State is now a basketball school.
It used to be. Well, it used to have a really good basketball program in the 50s and 60s, but obviously we know where they put their money at now. And then the Fat Five, that went to the national championship in 2007. I thought that
Thunderberg, Jackson. Come on now. Come on. That was a
I thought that they were gonna have some better recruiting after that, but it just never materialized. So
and maybe they'll play the season with the chip on their shoulder. I think that's a great motivation for if you have some chemistry, and I feel you about the coach. Maybe we can talk about that in the future show. But perhaps not being recognized nationally will give them an additional motivation.
Yeah. Will, anything you want to say about that real quick?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So really quickly, moving on to some NBA action. The Cleveland Cavaliers played the Houston Rockets tonight down at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. They had a tough road trip in which they lost. They went 1-3. I think they played on Saturday night. They played the Atlanta Hawks in 79. And I was about to say 79. They played the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday here at Rocket Mortgage Arena. So thoughts really quickly about the Cavs and what's going on this season. Oh, Evan Mobley is out for a few weeks because of knee surgery, and also Darius Garland is out with a fractured jaw. So whatever wins that this team could possibly get are miracles at this point. And one of the things is keeping Donovan Mitchell, and I don't know if we're going to be able to keep him. So really quickly, Sapphire,
I would play Mitchell sparingly while my big and my other guard are out. I'll be honest with you. Why burn him? Why not use these games and this part of the season to see what you have on the bench?
Bring Imani Bates in. You drafted him for a reason. I think that they can get some production out of Craig Porter Jr., which he's played really well. But bring on Imani Bates. And why you got your head in your hand, Willie?
Because Sapphire just said we should load management Donovan Mitchell.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely need to have you on the podcast to discuss that.
Absolutely. And integrate him. Let him help Bickerstaff. Let him help him while he's load managing. I'm sorry. That's the way I see it. That's all I got.
I'm done.
Yeah, Sapphire. Hey Jay, what's up, man? I don't know if I can agree with that either, Sapphire. You don't bring him here to load manage. You bring him here to get you to a championship. So,
45 million.
Yeah, we need him as much as possible. And if we're going to go anywhere, it's because of him.
Yeah, we're going to burn him out too. And I pray he doesn't get injured trying to overcompensate for the lack of talent that we're putting out on the court. I'm just saying that's what I would do.
All right, guys. Well, that's our time. I thank you guys for joining the show today. Great show. Had a lot of fun doing it. It is still Victory Monday. Thank you so much. So this is her in the huddle for Sapphire, for Willie, for Rachel. We are out of here.
Oh my gosh.
All right, y'all. Thank you, Willie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sapphire. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, peeps.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, bye, peeps.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, darling.